Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another video from Overbite Gaming. I am the majestic Snare. Welcome. How you doing? Good, I hope. So today I wanted to take a break from talking about EA, loot boxes, and just throwing out there the fact that they've taken all the buying stuff away from their loot box Battlefront 2 game thing. Okay, I just want to put that out there. Just leave it, because that's not what this video is about. Today I want to talk about Fighting Fantasy Gamebooks. And if you're under the age of 30, you're probably sat there going, what the fuck? What is that? I don't care. Well, maybe if you don't care, you might not even clicked on the video. So I'm just waffling now. No, today I want to talk about these Fighting Fantasy Gamebooks, the brainchilds of Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone. I say it that way round because that's how it's written on the books, not that one's better than the other. So these guys are also the co-founders of Games Workshop. I think for equal measure these days, people love and hate for what they're doing business practice-wise and selling models that are just bits of plastic and resin rather than metal ones that we all remember when we were kids. I don't really collect those miniatures anymore. I've got a few, but never got really into it. I was more of these kind of fantasy game books kind of guy. So as a kid I used to have a few, didn't have a lot, but these days on eBay you can pick them up for a few quid if you're lucky. I used to have a few, now I've got a bigger collection because every now and again I throw some money at eBay and try and get my hands on some ones I don't have. Now the way that these game books worked was that you created a character through dice. You had your kind of three main attributes of skill, stamina and luck, and they did change from book to book now and again, and some books, even like Skylord, had some ship mechanics, so it's kind of a take on the skill, stamina and luck, but for your ship. It was kind of interesting, and you basically created these characters with the dice, and that was your stats for the game, and you would come into contact with monsters throughout your journey, which you'd fight by rolling dice and kind of beating their scores. And if you did some bad choices for the game, you might get a knock to your stamina, or have to test against your luck, so you kind of try and vault over a gate, and if you are unlucky then you fall and trip and break your leg and it stabs you in the face, or something like that. It wasn't mega violent, but some of the deaths that you did come into contact with were quite grisly. Now these books, they weren't just novels, they were game books. You would start at number 1 and you try and end at around 400 for the most books. I think some were a little bit more than 400, but not many. You would jump between paragraphs, so you might start off at 1, you go to 42, and then you go to 274, and then you go back to 103, and so on and so on. You make your choices and you go to paragraphs, and that tells you what's going to happen in that particular time, and then it opens out to another choice and you go down another road. It's just a beautiful way of reading a story because you're reading and you're choosing what happens. So in your head you can see these things panning out and you can see these adventures forming in front of your own eyes. So those stats you build at the start, you have to battle these monsters, and if you're successful, you get to the end, you feel accomplished. You feel like, yeah, I did it. I beat them. I beat all the monsters. I made the right choices. Yeah, awesome. Well, that's how you're supposed to play it anyway. What you find is most people, if you're anything like me, I didn't use the dice, I just won every battle because I'm awesome. And you'd also find people sticking their fingers in about 5 different places in the book so they could backtrack to a decision that they'd made earlier. It's kind of like a cheat code for a book. Can you imagine such a thing? So that was pretty cool. And I do remember back in the day there was an uproar about one of the books called House of Hell, which I do have, which you went down the wrong road, ended up at this house, and it was filled with satanic worshippers, and that caused some problems with some people saying it was promoting Satanism, and basically the Christians didn't like that one. There was other ones that I think I really wanted as a kid, but I never got my hands on until recently, one of which was Robot Commando. You are on a planet, or you end up on a planet where you use robots to herd dinosaurs. I mean, come on, that's fucking genius. I mean, those kind of ideas, probably the reason why a lot of the games we have today exist, and this is why we're taking this little trip down history lane. There were so many games, or game books, that could have spawned so many different games. I mean, if you read through half of these, you probably think, yep. You know, some of these, I imagine that Skyrim has got a rooting in half of these books. I really do, from that kind of similar fantasy genre. There's definitely a few that got dragons in and stuff like that, but I can guarantee you now that these game books were a way to kind of get lost from the world. They were brilliant to sit down, and all of these books have that old book smell. you know, you get when you get a book that's been a couple of years old. Not that musty, but it's got that kind of, it's definitely been around. It's got that old smell on the papers. I love that. What's interesting is that the older books, like the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, Citadel of Chaos, those game books don't actually cost that much. You can find them quite easily. If you're lucky on eBay, you can find them for a couple of quid. But the weird thing is, the later ones, probably because there were less of them printed, the most recent ones, they can go for hundreds of pounds, which is insane. I do have a couple of later books, so I've got a couple of quid under my belt, but I'm not really going to be selling them. It's just weird to think that they can go for that much money. So let's get up close and personal to one of these books, the first one in the series, The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, which is where it all started back in 1982, and everyone went mental. So let's have a little look and see what all the fuss is about. So here's Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and you can see it looks a little bit different to the others. It has not got the same cover, but the front of this book generally tells you how to play the game, how to create your character and roll your dice. And what I'm looking for here is the adventure sheet, which has been drawn on by somebody else, but it shows you how to record your skill, stamina and luck, or your gold, jewels, potions, provisions, items and monster encounter boxes, which you can obviously photocopy that and use it many times, which you should have done, whoever wrote in that. But this artwork you get in these books is phenomenal. Lots of different artists were involved in the series over the time, but they all look great. But here's like your first paragraph, typical setting the scene. You normally have a bit of background, then it says turn to paragraph 1. You read this, and at the bottom here you can see you have to make a choice, 71 or 278. And which one we're going to do? We're going to turn west. I think we're going to turn west, and we find the next paragraph up top. There we go, too far. Move back, and boom. There's a right hand turn to the north. And then we see the artwork on the left hand side. There's the orc sleeping, and we're going to try and tiptoe past him. We're going to test our luck. I've just chosen that we're going to be unlucky, so we'll go to 248. And you can see how this game book works out. You choose it and you awaken the orc, and then you have to fight him. He's got a skill of 6 and stamina of 5, and so you have to attack him quickly, and you have a fight, and if you manage to beat him, then you can get to your next paragraph basically, and hopefully win the game. So that's Warlock of Firetop Mountain, shining in the camera, not very good. This is how the books I like look, with the gold name at the top. The artwork generally stays the same and just framed a little bit differently. And there's Ian Livingstone. He looks a little bit different now, but that's how he looked back in 1982. This is City of Thieves, book number 5, I believe. This is one of the books that's featured, I think, in Fighting Fantasy Legends, which I'm going to do a video on Thursday, if you stick around for that. Again, some more artwork, more sort of cross-hatched penciled kind of stuff. And you can see the colour of these pages. This is the kind of smell that I was talking about. When you see pages this colour, not from a little imp's arsehole, I've just focused on there. But again, all the books have those kind of pictures setting the scene. Oh, nearly gave the end away there. But I've invested in some plastic covers, and hopefully this will keep these in good nick for a few more years. But now let's have a little look at the collection. So you can see them all there. And all of these, most of these are recent purchases. Some of these are ones I've had before. Island of the Undead is one I've had before, but let's have a little closer look. Battleblade Warrior, Portal of Evil, Star Strider, Crypt of the Sorcerer, Robot Commando with the herding of the dinosaurs. I really want to get into that one as soon as possible. Trial of Champions, which I think is a follow-on from previous book. Demons of the Deep, Rebel Planet, that looks more sci-fi related. Seas of Blood, ship related. Space Assassin, looks good. Black Vein Prophecy is one of my old ones, it's quite a new one. Vault of the Vampire, Fangs of Fury, sort of samurai, which a friend of mine had, I never got my hands on when as a kid. Island of the Undead, that's one of mine, old ones. Beneath Nightmare Castle, everyone seemed to have that one. Skylord, never saw before, but the cover looks amazing. Phantom of Fear, House of Hell, this is the controversial one, and Spectral Stalkers. Check it out. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video of just delving into a little bit of my past. Please let me know what you thought of the video down in the comments. I'm open to any kind of comments from people, whether they be lovely or not so lovely. But at the end of the day, I love making these videos for you guys and sharing stuff with you. So that's a bit of my gaming heritage. I hope you enjoyed it. So guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on Thursday. Okay, love you, bye-bye. I'm not going to survive. Yep, impaled. The death scenes are pretty special in this game, I have to say. They are amazing. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Come on. Take him out. Take him out. Yes. Bang on yellow belt. You can't get better than that, ladies and gentlemen. This is awesome. Why is it that when people are watching